next question. How do you meet people if you don't know anyone?
Just find friends that want to travel. Ron will go anywhere, okay? He came to Honduras. All right, when it was the murder capital of the world, Craig, of the world.
It ain't the murder capital no more.
Nah, Caracas is Venezuela.
Okay.
They edged them out.
I almost lived there. One of my friends here invited me, hey, you want to go back to my house in Venezuela? I was like, sure. You going?
He's like Mikey. Like Mikey will try it.
Hey, man, he eats anything, though. Dude, we got some food stories. We'll tell you. This dude will eat anything you put on a plate. But I will fly anywhere. If they let me in, I'm going. You know?
No, finding friends, really, again, technologies make that easy. Try Facebook groups, Instagram groups. Get that app, WhatsApp, on your phone. And there's a lot of WhatsApp groups for expats. There's a place here called Sweet Georgia Cafe. We always get what we would consider dumb questions because we've been here long enough. I've definitely been abroad, long enough. But that's how people get information. That's how you meet friends. You find people within your age group. And you don't always have to hang out with expats. I think one of the things that can make your experiences a lot better is to meet locals. A lot of times that they're trying to learn the language. So pre-pandemic, they used to have these things called intercambio, which is language exchange. Mm-hmm. And in those situations, you would go to a place where people are trying to learn English and Spanish. And you would go back and forth. Sometimes they have games. They give you a name tag, get a beer. It's usually like at some type of hostel, but not the ones where they kill you. But it's another hostel, and you're not staying there. You just go there for the language exchange. And these things are posted on different message boards. I've gone to dozens of them, and it's a really good way to meet locals and you meet expats because they're there trying to learn Spanish. And I'm sure they have these at different places in different countries all over the world. It's something that's very common. So that would be my first approach.
One of the things I would do is when I first go to visit, I wouldn't get an independent house. My first visit to Medellin, I wasn't with Darian. I came on my own, and I stayed in a shared room, Airbnb, in Medellin with this guy named Paul. And Paul had 6 other people that lived there, right? Well, 3 of those people I'm still in contact with, and they're still traveling the world, and we're still good friends now. But that was in 2000. That was November 2nd, 2016. So, staying at those at those shared apartments, where somebody has a house with 8 bedrooms and they're renting out 6 of them, that's a great way to meet other travelers, to learn other people's experiences, to find other people to travel with. That's one of the things I would do to meet people is don't put myself in a prison, right? I used to always tell people, look, I work from home, so that means I got the world's most luxurious prison. It's my house because I work there and I got to sleep there. So I'm there all day. But if I can work in a place, have a place to sleep, but I got 6 other people that I could go out to lunch with or go dancing with, or they can tell me about things that's happening in the city that I didn't know was going on. I can kind of tag along. Like I went to the Metro Cable and Parque RV with one of my friends, Chris, that I met at Paul's house. I would have never gone to any of that stuff. You just don't want to be meeting your friends on Tinder. That's how you get drugged and robbed. Yeah. That's another story for another episode.
Yeah, I will piggyback off of that with Ron is saying. I've done that probably a dozen times. That first Airbnb trip, I actually stayed with a family. I rent out a room. Every time I've gone to Cuba, I've been to Cuba 3 times. I've stayed with Cuban families. I've never just stayed on my own in Cuba. I don't think that's even, I don't even say it's not safe because Cuba is actually a really safe country. It just would be boring. I've done the same thing in Costa Rica. I stayed with a family in Costa Rica. And actually, the building he's talking about, he stayed with Paul's house. I stayed there in 2015, that summer before.
That's how I found out about it. He's like, yo, I'm going to Medellin. He's like, yo, hit up Paul. Cool.
I met a lady from Australia who had never heard of Rosa Parks, right? Which is weird. The TV show came on talking about Rosa Parks. She's like, what is that? And it's just like, I was able to have that exchange with her. And then people were telling me about San Andres. And I'm like, oh, I need to go visit this place. And so it was a really good experience. And that was super cheap, like $10 a night. Paul's another one where you go stay there for a day, for like 2 days. But Airbnb is like $14. Then when you pay them directly, it comes down to like $10 a night, which is as cheap as it can come, right? So no, those are way better experiences, I think. And then after you've gotten your, feet wet, you can then venture out on your own.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do that with, it doesn't just have to be a single person doing it. You can do it with couples. You can do it with your friends. Last weekend, me and some of my friends, we went to Cali, Colombia, and there's a shared house that I know with a lady who lives upstairs at the house. It's an 8-bedroom house. She has 4 bedrooms upstairs where she lives with her on her own, and she has 4 bedrooms downstairs. So it's like a separate house, right? We rented 3 bedrooms in that house for 2 days, $100 total. And we each had our own bathroom, everything, our own desk. We basically had the whole bottom floor.
I wasn't there, but I was jealous. I got FOMO that weekend.
Dude, it was great, right? But she came down and cooked for us. She did the whole hosting thing. So we had, we didn't have to clean anything. They did our laundry, everything for that $100 for 2 days for 3 bedrooms. It was unbelievable. So I knew her because I had stayed at her place before with other people. Before, this was like last November. And I just went back to that same house. I'm like, yo, I got this relationship. She was happy to see us. She drove us around. She took us to the airport, took us to all the landmarks because my friends that I was with, they had never been there before. So we had a built-in driver. Well, of course, we paid her, but all of that stuff was built into the trip versus having to, oh man, I wonder how this works. No, it's all taken care of. And that's how you can meet people and build long-lasting relationships. Anything else?
No, I would say, with going back to the whole Airbnb and living arrangement thing, talk to the person that you're going to stay with, and they will arrange transport. And usually they'll come pick you up or have a family member come pick you up. We did that when we went to Barranquilla, where before when I went there, they charged me like equivalent to like $35 USD. And the last time when we had the lady's brother pick us up, it was like $20. And I mean, $15. But hey, everything adds up. And it's a better price, and you're helping the family directly. And I'm not giving money to a greedy cab driver. So.
Well, exactly. So the next question is, how do you choose where you want to live if you've never been anywhere before?
I mean, I feel like we've answered that question, but let's go through it again. I think it's another situation where you take a trip. You get on the message boards. You ask questions. You do some research based off of how much you make, how far would that go. One thing I learned about Costa Rica, now I had a really good deal the first time I went. I stayed there for 6 weeks. And I stayed with a family, so I was paying $300 a month, and that included shelter, internet, food, all that. Then I went by myself on vacation. A different story because it's actually really expensive to eat there. Food is really expensive. Lodging is cheap, but food is really expensive. So it goes back, take a trip. 5 days, 15 days, a month, whatever. Just take a trip and see how it is, and then you can have some comparative analysis because if you've only been in one place, I know a lot of brothers, and I'm calling out some people, get stuck in the DR loop because New York has direct flights to the DR. They go there, it's their first taste of a Caribbean culture, and they just get stuck there. No, try some other places first because you might find something that you like better.
Yeah, I mean, one of the easiest things you can do, you have this app called Facebook. Type in the status. If you could go anywhere for a weekend, where would you go? Or if you could go back to any place for a weekend, where would you go? Because if you say if you can go anywhere for a weekend, people will give you places that they've never been to that they're just dreaming about. But if you say, what would you go back to? If you had one place to go to, you could go back for a weekend this weekend. Where would you go? And they're gonna give you the spots, right? And now all you got to do is go back and comment and say why, right? Can I hit you up to talk about that? And then you'll have 20 comments. And you got 20 people to tell you their experiences, and then you can personally ask them, what neighborhood would you stay in? I'm thinking about going. That's how you can get some ideas, but then you already had somebody on the ground. Right? Like, I had never been to Medellin, but I had somebody that had been on the ground. When Darian went to Costa Rica, him and Darius, I wasn't there. But I had already had people on the ground, so I'm like, yo, I'm going to Costa Rica. Okay, because I left Honduras. I'm like, I'm about to get on the bus, about to get up out of here, dog. This place is crazy. He was like, yeah, go to Costa Rica. You'll like it. Okay. He told me some places. I had a friend that was there named Arnaldo. And he was like, yo, my mom rents out Airbnbs. You can stay at my mom's Airbnb. It's open. Cool. So his mom lived downstairs. I lived upstairs in their Airbnb. So, the point I'm making is use Facebook, use your network, and then go visit. Go visit those places. See if you like it. Because, like, Darian likes the DR. I don't like the DR. Like, I don't care if I ever go back there. Like, it's not that it's bad. It's just hot. I don't want it 99 degrees every day, man. You go outside and you sweating. So I'm like, nah, I don't want this. But he likes that. He likes that Caribbean hot beach stuff.
I mean,
I don't do none of that.
Nah, extreme heat, I'm going to defend myself, okay? I don't like the extreme heat. The thing I love about the DR is when I was there, because I'm from Rockville, Illinois, right? But I used to live on the south side of Chicago. And it just reminded me of the south side of Chicago. Just the way people act. Everything's happening in Spanish, but it's just some Southside Chicago stuff happening. And that's all I'm gonna say and leave that there.
Yeah,
But
it makes
and
sense.
so I feel at home when I'm in the DR. It's one of the few places on the planet where people just assume I'm from there. Even when I go to Rockford, people ask me where I'm from. I'm like, I'm from Rockford. Really? Where are you from? The south side of Rockford. Seriously, why do you speak like that? I don't know. I read some books. Have no idea. But when I'm in the DR and I would speak to people, and they knew, my Spanish, even though it might sound good to you guys, they knew I wasn't from there, but they would always think I was, oh, well, maybe you're Dominican, but you're from New York. Like, no, I'm not Dominican at all. So that's one of the things. But I do love the DR. I love the people. I love the Caribbean vibe, but I do not like the heat. The heat is exhausting.
Well, I'll make another comment to go back to an earlier question. And this is probably going to be a two-part video, so this is probably in part two of the video now. But if you go back to part one of this video, there was a question about the languages, right? And one of the things that's different is that Costa Rica speaks Spanish, Colombia speaks Spanish, DR speaks Spanish, Honduras speaks Spanish. They don't speak the same Spanish, right? They speak, like I came there and I was like, you know what, I want some juice. I want maracuya, which is passion fruit in the States. They was like, maracuya? Okay, no, I came here to ask for chinola. That's what I asked for in Colombia. I asked for chinola.
Which is Dominican for
maracuya or passion fruit, right? But here they call it maracuya. But they both speak Spanish. They had no clue what chinola was. I'm like, okay. So you have to learn those different little twerks. And Dominicans speak fast, It's kind of like in Louisiana. Louisiana people speak English, but it ain't the same English as New York. And it definitely ain't the same English as St. Louis. And it ain't the same English as Compton. Right? So depending on where you are, you can be speaking the same language with different dialects. So it's good to try to understand that they're not going to always understand you and how you learn it. Does that make sense?
No, I'll give you a better example. I was living in the Dominican Republic. I had a friend from Honduras and a friend from Chile come to visit me. And they didn't understand the Spanish and Dominican. These were native Spanish speakers, and they were looking at me like, nothing.
Yeah, they speak Dominican in the Dominican Republic. So let's go to another question. What entrepreneurial opportunities are available overseas?
All of them?
Yeah. The same ones that were available in the States. I mean, you just got to go to the country. You can look online. I mean, the same problems you can solve online, if you talk about online businesses, you can solve those problems living here. I mean, I don't sell any products in Colombia. My software company is based, we focus on the United States. But we got customers in Europe and customers in Africa. I mean, wherever you live, don't mean you only can sell there. So there may be more local opportunities, but you have to learn the laws of the land in that local opportunity. So I'm not a big fan of moving to another country and trying to be an entrepreneur right off the bat, because you don't know what type of monopolies they may have or how the locals feel about you owning a business there and taking business away from their native people. But what I would say is you can always hop on Upwork. Go on Upwork and get a freelancer job until you figure out the entrepreneurial opportunities, if you're not already an entrepreneur. If you're not already an entrepreneur, keep running whatever business you're running. Don't give that up unless you got a pizza shop in St. Louis. You can't bring that to Colombia. But land, get on the ground, talk to people that may have a similar business already if you do want to do something local, to find out what those rules and restrictions are. We do have people like Sweet Georgia Cafe. That is owned by a gentleman from Atlanta or Augusta, Georgia, but he calls it Sweet Georgia Cafe. La Pasti, that's owned by a gentleman that lives here from Tampa, Florida. So those different, you can run restaurants or local businesses, but you got to understand how they work and how the people feel about it before they put a large drink with fire attached to it in your business.
Yeah, I would say that restaurant business is volatile anywhere, right? So if you make a niche business like Sweet Georgia Cafe, which is a really good restaurant, I know we're giving them a lot of pubs tonight, right? Hopefully we get some royalties back, or at least a free chicken and waffles. The chicken and waffles is delicious. With that said, during the pandemic, for example, if you only cater to tourism, then the pandemic shut down tourism. So what are you going to do in that situation? I know I had a friend that was looking into starting some type of farm situation here. This was in Cali, Colombia. When he did his investigation, he found out that he couldn't because people were just going to suspect that he was going to try to grow a different type of product. Won't get into that. So he was like, no, I don't want them problems. So that's something that they can also, just because the people here locally haven't started a business yet, it doesn't mean that people haven't looked into it. There's reasons why there aren't certain industries that are flourishing in other countries. It's because it's not profitable, or it's been done before and it didn't work out, or whatever the situation is, or because of the laws, the taxes, whatever. So that's just something you want to think about. I would really think about having some type of income in the States, having some type of remote job, whether that's real estate back home, you're renting out apartment buildings, you're working from Upwork, or you have some type of investments. Ace Chapman has a really good book when he talks about that. He lives there, he owns like 40 businesses. I know he's been on the Black Financial channel before, but we haven't interviewed him yet, which that's coming up soon. Look into those type of situations, because you really don't want to come here. You have to realize if you're going to start a business here, the money you're going to be earning is pesos. The goal is really to earn dollars, spend pesos. No matter where that is, earn dollars, spend yen. Earn dollars, spend real. Wherever country you're going to be in, most likely, unless you're in the Middle East, the dollar is going to be stronger than the local currency. So if you're catering to local businesses or local people, you're going to earn local currency. Also, the people in other countries hustle. I mean, you're not going to out-hustle the guys that's on the street corner that's selling all types of products. And so you don't want to come down here and put in that type of work. Come up with something, a better scheme,
Yeah, no, I think that's good advice. If you already got a business, keep that business. If you are thinking about starting a business, start off freelancing first, so that you can learn the basics of accounting, sales, all those different things. Because freelancers, you can easily find leads on places like Upwork or OK.io, different freelancing sites, so that you're not struggling to get leads. Because I hear a lot of people say, "Yeah, I'm gonna start a business. How you gonna get customers? I don't know. I'm gonna do social media marketing." Okay, you're just gonna donate to Facebook, because them ads ain't gonna work if you don't know what you're doing. It's a whole process. So I'm always very cautious. Try to build a remote business before you come. That takes us into our next question. This is specifically about South America, but the answers that I'm going to give to it are going to be about the entire world. So I'll let Darian answer the South America part of it. What's the cost of living in South America versus the USA?
So I'll reframe that question and speak on Latin America, because South America obviously being anything south of Panama, working your way down. I've actually only lived in one country in South America, and I've lived in more places in Central America and the Caribbean. What I would say about Latin America, certain things cost of living wise are standard across the board, where housing is going to be relatively cheap. Especially in Colombia, housing is really cheap. Again, this apartment is in one of the nicest neighborhoods here. Right now with the exchange rate, it's coming out to about $480 a month. My total monthly expenses, including utilities, is like $650 a month. DR was about the same. I would say Dominican Republic, outside of housing, is more expensive than Colombia. Costa Rica, food is expensive because they import most of their food. Here, they make most of their own food. Honduras is super cheap until you go to the mall. So what I would say on a general basis, what I've noticed, and I don't know if because of trade agreements, in Latin America, electronics are expensive. iPhones, expensive. Samsungs, expensive. MacBooks, whatever, lo que sea. These things are very expensive in comparison to the States. Clothing, you'll find out the simple pair of Adidas that we'll get from a Ross or a TJ Maxx that are $30, $35, $120 USD if you want to buy them here. If you happen to be like our boy Darius, who's 6'4", forget about it. You're not going to find a size 14 shoe here. Not even if you wanted to. You'll have to hire a village to make them. So take that in consideration, that clothing, because of the trade agreements that we have and the consumerism that we have in the States, clothing usually comes out cheaper for the most part. Now, on the flip side, if you want to get something tailored, like a suit made from scratch, it comes out cheaper here. I've had suits made. I know our boy Brooke was having someone make suits all the way from, I don't know, Thailand or something.
He gets suits sent in every 3 months from Bangkok.
Okay.
And they just keep his sizes, and then they mail him stuff. They got his measurements. They made him a bunch of suits. He gets quarterly shipments based on that travel, which is dope.
So I would say once you get past housing, so this is a question definitely thinking about Latin America for like people that are going to pension out. If you're working for the post office, I know one of my boys works for the post office, or you work in a government job that's going to give you $3,000 a month, and you live in a place like DC, LA, $3,000 a month is not going to even pay rent, right? Here, do whatever you want. I mean, for $3,000 a month, if you run out of that money, you have a really bad drug habit, and it's already getting out of control. So
Yeah, I don't think we spend like my expenses and your expenses living. We don't spend $3,000 a month for my apartment on the other side of town, and his apartment here, and all the bills, and I mean all the liquor he buys. I got a bar at my crib. I mean, I have ribs and tomahawk steaks 4 days a week at my house, and I invite friends over all the time. We watch the Mike Tyson fight. To put it in perspective, that's on TV for free. We didn't have to pay for the pay-per-view. It's free. All pay-per-views. UFC, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, Nate Robinson, all of them fights are free in Latin America. So what? Go ahead.
no, this is the last part I'll say about this. If you only want American products, it will be more expensive. If your cereal has to be Cinnamon Toast Crunch and not whatever knockoff they have, which tastes exactly the same, certain luxuries like almond milk is going to be more expensive because it's not very common here. Or if you happen to be a vegan, good luck anywhere outside of vegan places. Because even in the States, veganism is expensive, right? Whole Foods is expensive. They call it, whole paycheck in some places. So I say that to say, if you just happen to have to have American products for everything, we just ordered Kraft cheese the other day because we just.
Oh, dude, I opened that box up like it was gold.
It was like, oh. And so you look at situations where, yeah, if you want the cereal you have from back home, you got to have the same steaks and have the same. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. If you're more open-minded to the local food, if you just want to eat rice and beans in Latin America, you don't pay nothing. If you want to live out in the barrios where, the people live, this apartment's going for 100, 150 USD a month. Easy. I wouldn't suggest that, especially if you don't speak the language, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no. So my suggestions are more international, like worldwide, no matter where you want to go. And you can go to a website called numbeo.com, and you can do a cost of living adjustment or a calculator. And they let you type in any country. Or if you can't remember the name of this, just go into Google and type in cost of living calculator, right? And it'll let you type in Medellin versus Virginia, St. Louis versus Paris, right? And it'll tell you what a loaf of bread costs, what an apartment costs in the city of the center, in the center of the city, what apartment costs on the outskirts, what gas costs, what taxis cost. They give you all the cost of living adjustments that you would ever want, and you can see it right there in real time because people go in and update it. It'll tell you the last time it was updated. My uncle earlier this week, we had a conversation about him coming to visit here, and he said, "Man, how's the medical system there?" I'm like, "Colombia is ranked number 22." He was like, "22?" I said, "Yeah," and I pulled up on my screen so you can see it. The U.S. is 37. He was like, "Yeah, but that's probably a crappy area." So on Numbeo, I shared my screen with him, and I showed him his city, Virginia Beach, Virginia versus Medellin, Colombia. He was like, man, you always try to prove a point. No, I'm just giving you the facts so that you can make a logical decision versus some of the emotional decisions or he say, C-shape, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's because we have a lot of assumptions. I didn't realize how many assumptions I made as an American until I left America, right? I got so many people the other day, man. So what y'all doing down there for Thanksgiving? They don't celebrate Thanksgiving here. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving. They never thought about that Thanksgiving is just a U.S. thing, right? Or, man, it's going to be 4th of July. What y'all doing for 4th of July? Nothing. They don't do 4th of July. Like today, December 1st, they do this celebration for the beginning of December, only in Medellin. It ain't even in Cali. When I lived in Cali, I didn't even know this existed, right? So it's only in Medellin, but I didn't call my mom and say, "What y'all doing for the day that y'all going to turn on all the Christmas lights?" She would look at me like I was stupid. So check out Numbeo or cost of living adjustment so that you can see in real time without any of the without any jargon or someone mixing it up. This is just real data, and you don't have to assume. You can know for a fact. Okay, this is what it's going to be. Now, when you go on Airbnb to look for housing, it's going to be a little bit more because those are short-term rentals. They're not designed for you to stay there for a year. They're designed to be a replacement and an alternative to a hotel, right? But at the beginning, that's a great way to learn different neighborhoods so that you will know, a safe place. But the cost is going to be a little bit more on Airbnb for housing.
Also, one of the things for cost of living and just living in a different country, be reasonable. One thing that I did when I first moved, first thing is when I first moved to Honduras, I had 4 suitcases packed up. I get to the airport, they only let me take 3. I had to pay $150 extra, I think, per suitcase. So I had to have my ride come pick up my 4th suitcase that I couldn't take. I say that to say when I moved to Cali, we're talking 4 years later, roughly, I moved there with 1 suitcase and a carry-on. And so I learned how to downsize. And I remember the first time that I shipped books overseas because I'm a avid reader, and I paid $300 for books I already paid for, half of which I already had read. And I ended up donating most of those books while I was there just because I didn't want to pay for them and ship them back. We was in a Facebook group chat or a group chat on WhatsApp, and someone was talking about shipping an oven or stove. And I'm like, that is a ridiculous item.
They got ovens and stoves in Medellin that are dope.
Yeah.
Like, my oven situation is dope. Like, what are people thinking, you know?
So, I mean, the amount of money it's going to cost. So just take in consideration, yes, there's certain things you want to ship. I would not ship a big screen TV. It's just going to be more trouble than it's worth.
They sell them here for $100.
I have all this original artwork. What I'm going to have to do when I leave, if I ever move out of here, is I'm going to have to take them off of the frames, roll them up, and ship them because shipping them in the frame is going to be more than what I paid to have them created in the first place. So just be reasonable. I mean, certain things aren't going to be the same. It's not going to be exactly how it was at home. If you wanted that, you know,
stay home. Yeah, stay home. I mean, you know, I don't. People, oh man, you down there? You ain't by a beach? I ain't coming for the beach. I live in the mountains. You know, I want it 70 degrees. You know,
we can fly to the beach in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Round trip, $100.
Cheaper than that.
We can be there tomorrow by noon and be back by midnight.
We can buy the ticket today, go to the beach, come back, and it'll be $100 for both of us together. That ain't his ticket. That's my ticket. Same day.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's cost of living is going to be there, but you can check it out online. Be reasonable. There's always the same man down there. I would live like a king. Yeah, you'll lose up all your money. You'll be unreasonable, and you'll probably get robbed because you'll be having stuff that normal people don't have, and they call it giving papaya. You'll be out here, you know. I always know gringos. Like whenever I'm here, I know the person from the U.S. They usually got on Jordans, and if it's a guy, they got earrings and they watches and they gold necklaces on. I'm like, nobody here dresses like that. So I just go to him like, yo, what's up, man? Where you from? He's like, man, how you know I work for me? Like, you got on the gringo outfit. Like, you totally look like you're not from here, you know? And so just be careful with, I always say, don't import your culture into another country. Come in respecting their culture and adapt because you're a visitor. This ain't your house. I'm a visitor here, so I have to be respectful of their cultures and their communities.
And it's not worth it. It's not going to benefit you to have. I had a boy that came in with a $10,000 Rolex on him. I'm like, most people won't know what that is, and even if you get robbed, they're not going to get that same value out of it. It's just better to leave that in Chicago, LA, New York, wherever you got it from, because it's not going to really add any value to your trip. It's just going to make you more self-conscious. One of the reasons why I haven't, gotten the most flashiest cars or whatever, because I don't need them. 2, it's not going to enrich the thing. I like the fact I don't have to drive. People ask, you don't have a car? I'm like, yeah, I have a car. It's called Uber. It gets me from point A to point B, and I don't have to worry about paying for insurance. I actually had a car for 2 years here, so I know that experience as well. And that's okay, too. I think you can kind of mix and match and see how it is. Rent a car for the weekend. As long as you have a passport, they'll let you rent a car. You'll see how it is driving in different countries. I think those are things you can try out to see if you feel comfortable. DR driving, crazy. Here, not as bad, but still crazy.
Oh, yeah. So last question of the night, what would Colombia have to do to make someone stay and want to build a family here? I'm going to let you answer that because I ain't never get married. So that ain't even on the table.
I saw that question. I think there was a lady named Dorothy. How you doing, Dorothy? Now, I don't know, and I honestly don't know the framing of that question because that was with the interview I did with Monica, right? Mm-hmm. So Monica and I are just friends. At the moment that we're recording this, if anything changes between now and then, this get released, I'll let you guys know.
By tomorrow?
Because our plan is not to have kids. We haven't gone in that direction at all, personally. We're not dating. No, we're not dating. So personally, for me, that's not been the goal. I think my whole thing about living international has been not having to have roots where I'm at in particular. Would I buy property here or somewhere else? Of course. But it would be more like an investment opportunity. Like I might live there, fix it up, and then rent it out eventually. Could I live here for the next 20, 30 years? Of course. Could I have children here? Of course. But it doesn't have anything to do with the country. If I met the right person, if the situation was right, And I met, a lot of nice people. I just haven't decided to make a copy of myself yet. Which, hey, is perfectly fine. I know people that come down here, and that's one of the first things they do is have children in different countries. And let's be realistic from a financial standpoint. It's a lot cheaper than having children in the States. You can get a full-time nanny, and I'm not joking. You get a full-time nanny that comes 5-6 days a week, and it comes out to roughly 350 to 400 USD a month. And they'll come and clean, watch your kids, cook, and all that stuff. So it is economically viable to have children here. I just haven't taken that step. Ron?
Well, I mean, yo soy un vagabundo. If you Google that song by Jason Jimenez, you'll understand. That's my theme song.
That's
right?
his favorite song.
Right? Because, I mean, I'm just a single dude traveling the world enjoying the fruits of my labor. So I'm not looking to have a family, so I don't really have an answer to this. But one of the things I would say is there's nothing the country can do to make me have a kid. Unless they give me some, like, yo, we'll give you X number of dollars if you have a kid. All right, cool. Give me the money. Then I'm leaving the kid. I'm leaving. I'm just gonna do it to cash in because I don't want no kids. That is like refinancing your life.
That's in the 18-year reset button.
Yeah, I'm not trying to refinance my life and have a lifetime credit card to death. So, but yeah, this is the episode today. This has been the second episode. This is probably going to be part 2 because this is really long.
Yeah.
Of the frequently asked questions. These were our 10 questions that we get asked all the time. Hopefully you enjoy. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be starting a new channel. This is right now on the Black Financial channel, but there will be channels that just have. We will have our own channel that's called the Personal Exit Plan. It's on YouTube, and we'd love you to subscribe over there. We'll break out little clips. So the entire show is going to continue to be on the Black Financial channel. But like, say these 10 questions we answered today, we'll have 10 videos with each question, only 5-minute segments on the YouTube Personal Exit Plan channel, which is coming up. We're still building that out, but we want to make little clips so that you don't have to always watch a full hour. Or if you want to go back for reference, you don't want to watch the hour the second time, you can just go back to those questions.
And most importantly, ask questions. We really couldn't do this without you guys. And just think about this.
These are great questions. I'm proud that they gave us these.
Yeah, no, these are great questions, and this is like the start of this, right? You can be like, hey, I asked, Darren and Ron a question 2 years ago when nobody knew them, right? Now I'm not saying that we're going to be big and famous in 5 years.
I don't know what you think about yourself. You need to think higher of yourself, buddy.
So keep the questions coming. We're here for you guys. Again, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Keep them coming. We enjoy being here. We've talked for like an hour now. Again, he said this is probably going to be 2 segments. Might be 3. We don't even know at this point. So, again, keep it happening.
Look, we got dumb answers for your dumb questions. All right. See y'all later. Thanks again.
Hey, take care, guys.